Yo, we just got to Elbaf and it's already insane. Honestly, up until this recent chapter, I didn't even believe that we were in Elbaf. Oda has just scarred me that bad with the misdirections. I can't believe it. But now, knowing what we know from chapter 1130, by the way, if you're not up to chapter 1130, you should not be watching this video because I'm about to spoil the out of that chapter. But now it is 100% we are in Elbaf and it feels like we're gonna be here for a while.
Long periodically time.
And for being only like 4 or 5 chapters in, Elbaf has already introduced so much new stuff. Even the geography of Elbaf is not exactly what I expected. First of all, nobody told us about the Misty Sea Sleep Belt or whatever it's called, but I guess that's a thing. I guess that's how Elbaf has been able to keep itself secluded all these years. Like how Wano has its borders and Amazon Lily has the Calm Belt. It's just interesting how all of these secluded nations have these quote unquote natural barriers between them and the outside world. Really makes you think, don't it? The decision to separate the Straw Hats was really interesting to me. It's not like that's a rare thing for Oda to separate the Straw Hats or anything, but this specific separation felt very different. Usually the Straw Hats separate in a way that is more even, I guess. Like right now, there's a huge discrepancy in the strength of the group that's already on Elbaf and the group that's on their way to Elbaf. And it feels like Oda specifically separated these OG original Straw Hats for a reason. Now, what that reason is, I couldn't tell you. Honestly, my only guess is we're about to get some insane lore reveals that really only these OG Straw Hats need to be there for. Or maybe if some other people like Robin or something were there, they would kind of spoil the reveal. So, you know, we're just separating our more ignorant Straw Hats from the rest of the group. The ignorant Straw Hats being Luffy, Zoro, Sanji. We could throw Chopper in that bitch. Honestly, in the right situation, you could throw Nami in there too. And Usopp is the most ignorant of all. Now, speaking of Usopp, everybody wants Elbaf to be Usopp's arc. And I am one of those niggas. People have been very critical this arc of how Usopp has been performing so far, but I feel like you can definitely tell that Oda is gearing Usopp up for something big here. Otherwise, there is no reason for Oda to be hoeing Usopp this bad at the beginning of the arc. Having Usopp get bitch slapped by a cat and not being able to break through a wall, while the rest of the Straw Hats are looking great. Zoro and Sanji are chilling, goofing around. Luffy's figuring out new ways to use his gears. Nami's one-shotting the nigga that's chasing him. And at the end of the day, everybody is getting dubs except Usopp. That has to be on purpose, right? That has to be on purpose, right? But seriously, even in the most recent chapter, I feel like Usopp is more so showing what path he's gonna take this arc. It feels like as Usopp realizes he's in Elbaf, he's starting to buck up a little more. Like, I can't let the giants think I'm no hoe. Even when Luffy does the dumbest shit ever and jumps down into the forest this chapter, Usopp is the first person to say, all right, let's go with him. Would Usopp do that normally? Hell no. But it's that Elbaf courage. Is it getting to him? Now, as for this little Lego world that they found themselves in, the person that runs it is so strange. Imagine telling somebody your hobby is kidnapping people, dressing them up in little Viking clothes, and making them role play as Vikings for your amusement. You're a weirdo, dude. Even though the outfits that he picks are tough as hell. Cause Luffy, Zoro, Sanji, and Nami, hey, they got that shit on. Not you though, Usopp. I'm sorry. I know I'm not supposed to be shitting on Usopp this video, but why the vertical striped overalls? Like, it's just giving me flashbacks to him. And then he has his little pets in there and he calls them gods. At first, when the Straw Hats killed them, that shit had me worried because I'm thinking this is Elbaf. So in my mind, the Straw Hats just killed these sacred animals that the Elbaf people worship. Rest in peace to the bunny though. But it gets even crazier when we find out this weirdo is Roto, who is a member of the new giant pirates who are supposed to be working under the Straw Hats. Like, what are you doing? But Roto has opened my eyes to a lot of things about giants and giant culture that I hadn't thought about before. Mainly about giants' pride, because we all know giants are a prideful warrior race, but I never thought about the idea of them having pride in being giants. I know it sounds crazy, but I just never thought of it that way. I thought it was always like they had pride in their own strength, you know? But now it makes sense. As this prideful warrior race that is known as being the strongest race in the world, it probably would be considered disgraceful to be subservient to a human, which makes it even crazier knowing Haruden would do this, knowing that he is the son of the king of Elbaf. But it just shows that the political situation in Elbaf is way more complicated and unstable than we thought it was. Even within the new giant pirates, it seems like there are people that are completely on opposite sides of the spectrum. So now it feels like there's gonna be a huge conflict over who the next king of Elbaf is gonna be. Obviously, the Straw Hats are gonna side with Haruden because that's our boy. But should Haruden really be the king? I don't know if he's strong enough to even be the king. I just don't believe in him strength-wise. And it makes it even funnier that he was gonna go to Egghead instead of Dorian Bragi. Could you imagine? Like, Haruden, you had an extreme div fight with Mock Vice. If you went to Egghead, you would have gotten murdered. We might not have made it out of Egghead. If it was Harude in there, all the Straw Hats might be dead right now. I'm not gonna lie to you. I might be Team Loki. He has only been a part of the story for like 2 panels, and he's already changed so much for me. I'm not gonna lie. Loki is in contention for a top 10 character. That design is raw as hell. Loki calling himself the Sun God already changed the way that I view Roto, because I think Roto has completely bought into Loki's shit. I think Roto is a Loki fanboy, and that's kind of why I like Roto a little bit. He's one of us. He's like a Bartolomeo, but instead of for the Straw Hats, it's for Loki. And that's why he has his little fantasy world where he pretends to be the Sun God and he controls everything. He wants to be just like Loki when he grows up. We even heard other members of the New Giant Pirates talking about how if you called Roto the shame of Elbaf, he would probably take it as a compliment. Probably because he's on Loki's dick. But Loki calling himself the Sun God raises a whole list of other questions. Like the main question being, why the fuck would he think that? I have to assume that it has something to do with this mythical devil fruit that's been passed down through the family lineage. Do they think that this fruit is the Sun God fruit? Or is it some other variation on the Sun God fruit? Which does tie into a video that I made recently about the Sun God fruit and Emu's fruit, possibly. I don't know. But I am super interested to see what that fruit is, what it does, why is it so important that this nigga killed his own dad for it. I'm just loving everything about Loki, because him killing his own dad for it is giving real Blackbeard vibes, and niggas know I love Blackbeard. That's my dog. But it also raises the question of like, if Loki is such a bad dude, why were they trying to get him married to Big Mom's daughter? Was it gonna be a marriage in name only and they were still gonna keep that nigga locked up? Or is there another faction of Elbaf that wants Loki to be free? We all know Roto would be in that faction, so I wouldn't be surprised if there were more giants like him. But by far the most interesting thing about Loki is his implications towards the end game of One Piece. Because if you know anything about Norse mythology, Loki being locked up will sound very familiar. In Norse mythology, Loki gets locked up for killing Balder and a whole bunch of other stuff, but it is said that Loki will be released from his captivity at the onset of Ragnarok. And look what dumb little idiot looks like he's prepared to let Loki loose. Oda's already playing up towards the Ragnarok angle, with the giants saying that if we let Loki loose, it'll be the end of everything, and Loki saying that he's the Sun God who's gonna destroy the entire world, which we already know there is a prophecy about the Sun God destroying the entire world, or flipping the world upside down, whatever way you want to word it. But it's pretty clear that Loki sees himself in this prophecy very similarly to the way that Kaido did. But just like Kaido, Loki also happens to be fucking crazy. But it wouldn't surprise me if all this Ragnarok talk and the end of times talk isn't just about Elbaf, but freeing Loki will set us on the fast track of the end of the One Piece world as we know it. So it seems like maybe instead of some kind of conflict with Haruden, there will be a direct conflict between Luffy and Loki, and somehow that battle kickstarts the war that embroils the entire world. Now, I don't know if Loki is strong enough for that, but he could be. It does seem like Oda is trying to upscale the giants and make them a little stronger than what they've been depicted to be to this point, even with Dory and Bragi being able to fight against the Gorosei, and this chapter getting 1.8 billion berry bounties. It wouldn't surprise me if Loki is one of the strongest characters we've ever seen in the series, especially because it took all the Elbaf warriors to beat one nigga, and they've been keeping them locked up all these years in all these chains. That says a lot. Now, as for Elbaf itself, I am really interested in this bridge that Luffy and the others were walking on, because it appears to lead up this mountain, or what they describe as a mountain. To me, it looks more like it could be Yggdrasil, and doesn't that little structure around it look like the sashes that we see around awakened devil fruit users? I don't know, maybe that's just me. I might be schizoing out, but I cannot get that out of my head. It just looks just like it to me. But regardless, the plot of Elbaf is starting to kick up, and I am excited. I feel like this is gonna be one of my favorite arcs in One Piece, and we just got here. But yeah, man, that's all I got for y'all boys today. Let me know what you think about Elbaf so far in the comments below, and comment Prince down below if you made it to the end. Just confuse all the niggas that didn't make it here. Like the video if you liked the video, subscribe to the channel, and yeah, man, I'm gone.